Oh, hello there, and welcome to A Normal Meets a Nerd, a podcast with me, Dylan Evans, a very normal person who loves asking those abnormal questions you definitely want to know the answer to.
And me, Darragh Ennis, the nerd, who explains those abnormal questions as best I can, but some of them are impossible. But science has the answers.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's just magic, but mostly science.
This is something I've always found bizarre. What happened in the dancing plague of 1518? I've seen some theories. Yeah, very specific. I've seen some theories on this. I've always been really interested in this.
Yeah, so this is the thing. It happened in Strasbourg, in what is now France. And basically, for a few months, about 400 people were sort of jerking around and dancing and having these weird fits. And nobody's very, very sure why. Couple of reasons. One is that the records of this are really sketchy. Like really, really sketchy.
Yeah.
Like, no, this was before, medical applications where people wrote things down very carefully and did studies and all that kind of stuff. And they're not even sure how many people died of this or if anyone even died of it. Like that,
Right.
That's very hard. Like looking at the records and the amount of people that died compared to comparable times and other recent times, there's no real change. They're not really, really sure. It's the most sensible thing is there's two different options. One is that it's food poisoning related. So
yeah, I've heard. Is it ergot?
Growing on the wheat. This is why they think everybody abandoned the Mary Celeste. Is that rye especially, but other cereals, but mostly rye, and rye would have been very big part of normal people's diet. There has this fungus that grows on it that has psychotropic stuff in it.
Yeah, this is the theory I believe,
and that's the one that's kind of been put around. But there's very little evidence for that, and it's spread over such a wide period of time. But it doesn't affect absolutely everybody. If everybody was tripping balls, then everybody would be tripping balls. This is a couple of hundred people in a city of a few thousand people. So
okay, right. So it wasn't the whole town, I suppose.
Well, Strasbourg, like I don't know how big it was at the time, but it's like it was a city. It's not going to have 300 or 400 people. And the maximum that they said were affected this were about 400, but probably a lot less than that. So the other option that someone has gone for, and this kind of makes sense, is that it's something that's called mass hysteria. So if this happened in animals, we would go, oh, they're all stressed. They're all stressed. They're all upset. They're acting out. They're copying each other. And we are animals. And around the time of this, Europe was not a great place to be. There was a lot of wars. The peasants were finding it really tough. Anybody who was poor, were really stretched for food. They were all mega stressed. And there's little outbreaks of not quite dancing plague, but, demonic possession and other things like that. Which one of the things about mega stress is that it can manifest in different ways. It can manifest in, spasms and fits and all that kind of stuff. And they think this is what it was. That there was just... And because they saw other people do it, there was a psychosomatic element to it, and it kind of spread. It wasn't contagious like a disease is, but they were super stressed and they were copying stress behavior from other people. And they think that might be it. It does happen. Like it happened during the Industrial Revolution where people were having like weird, strange fits working in factories and they're working like 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts, all that kind of thing. But yeah, it's probably something to do with that. But we don't know. Is the final answer, I'm afraid. It was 500 years ago and the records were poor, but it was probably some mass hysteria that broke out.
There we go. Would have looked funny though, seeing like that many people just raving to no music.
That's what I don't get. That's the other thing is this wasn't like it wasn't like a flash mob. They weren't all dancing in the square. It was spread over a few months. It was people in their homes, like a lot of people had this idea that they're out there absolutely smashing it like it's a silent disco. It wasn't like that.
That's what that in my head. That's what it is, a silent disco in like the town square.
It was just, individual people or small groups of people in their homes and things. That's what it was.
It's even weird as a concept.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Why do people go bald and why is it more common in men?
So there's lots of types of balding. There's Claire balding, very different. But sorry, that's an off the cuff joke. It just worked really well. Sorry, Claire.
That was good. I like that.
If you're a listener, Claire, love your work. But yeah, lots of different types of baldness and balding. male pattern hair loss is the one most people are talking about. So this is the common one where usually you go bald at the crown of your head and you get receding hairline that goes up. I've got a very high widow's peak and it's getting bigger as it goes, but I'm not going bald.
That's not bad. No,
It's
no, no,
not too
yeah.
bad. No, not for a man in middle age like me. You know, that's just how it is. And this podcast is not a hair loss podcast. Just isn't. We are a hairy podcast. But for a lot of people, this is a huge problem, and a lot of people find this really distressing and everything. But it's just a part of aging, and it's caused by hormones.
Okay.
So there's a form of testosterone called dihydrotestosterone. And it can cause hair follicles to shrink if it goes up, if the levels go too high. So the root of your hair goes in. So most people who are bald still have about the same number of hairs. They're just really, really thin and small. So if you look at them really, really closely, it's not completely smooth. It's not like alopecia, you know, where it's all gone. And they shrink and the hair thins. And this happens most commonly in the scalp, where the hormone changes happen. And it varies over the scalp. So it's different parts. So that's where you get these patches and baldingness. And I'm afraid it's genetic. There's not a lot you can do about it. Some people just get it. It tends to be passed down the maternal line. So just because your dad's bald doesn't mean you will be. But because it's testosterone based, it's way more common in men.
So it's passed down from. So would you best be looking at like your mum's dad? Dad.
Yeah, usually.
Okay.
Like this is a very complex genetic system. So, but it tends to go down the maternal line. And there's going to be loads of people. Oh well, actually, yeah, not always. You know, and it's not universal. And sometimes you can have brothers who are going bald, and like my dad wasn't bald. Neither of my grandfathers were, but my dad's two brothers went bald. You know, it's just one of those things, and there's not a lot you can do about it. There was an investment in anti-balding medicine beyond more than you could imagine, because it was such a potentially big market. And if you ever want to know the difference between being a man and a woman, is the amount of money that went into balding stuff rather than things that women have problems with. Is epic. There's a thing that women get called endometriosis, which is a very, very painful thing linked to hormones. It's all to do with, you know, how things go wrong in their sort of reproductive system. It's very painful. It affects hundreds of millions of women. No cure. Billions poured into balding cures for men. You know, it's outrageous when you think of it, because it doesn't really matter. If I did start to go bald, if you started to go bald, if I did, I would immediately, I would go, I'd take the whole thing off. Yeah, the comb over is not anybody's friend.
You could rock like a Larry David. Yeah, of course. I can see you with that.
Yeah, but yeah, I would either just let it go or I'd shave it off. You know, I don't.
You wouldn't go to Turkey. You wouldn't take a trip to Turkey.
I'm not that vain. I don't care.
Yeah, to be fair, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it affect me now. It's very easy to say that as someone who's got a full head of hair. Well, mostly full head of hair still. Maybe I'd be different when it happened. But yeah, I think I'd just go. I just shave it off and get a bit of chrome dome, shine it up.
Nice. This one has always bothered me. Why don't we ever see baby pigeons? Where are the baby pigeons at?
This is so weird that people care about this. How many baby birds that aren't ducks have you ever seen?
This is an interesting point. Yeah, but there's loads of pigeons, though.
Yeah. So most people have probably seen a swallow or a swift's thing poking his little head out, going, beep, beep. Yeah, looking for food, because their nests are on our house. That's why. Where's a pigeon nest?
I don't have a clue.
So pigeons are also called rock doves, and they would have evolved to go on like cliffs and high trees and stuff and outcrops. They nest really high up in obscure places on top of buildings where we don't see them. So their babies are just in the nest. You just don't see the nest.
Yeah. Someone must have seen one.
Everybody. So yeah, people have seen them. They exist. And you know, if you were on an old skyscraper with lots of like gargoyles and stuff on it, you probably have a pigeon nest at some point out your window and you can see them. But like, people go mad about this because pigeons are everywhere. But you don't, of course you don't see them, because they're flying birds. Nobody's seen, you know, a blackbird's one or a sparrow's chick or a wren or any of the other birds you see absolutely every single day.
Yeah,
they don't leave the nest. That's the thing.
What does the term watershed mean?
Right, watershed has 2 or 3 meanings, and the one we're talking about, I assume, is you're not allowed to
The
swear
telly.
before
Yeah,
nine
yeah,
o'clock.
yeah.
Um, so it comes from geography, basically, and the first meaning of it is it's the area of land that all goes into one body of water. So if you look at, say, on a map, you go, okay, everything inside this line drains into the English Channel. So it goes into
Okay.
these rivers and then it goes into the River Severn. So that's the watershed of the River Severn, is the drainage pattern of it.
Mm.
But what it's really come to mean is the the point in between two of those areas. So if a raindrop falls on one side of the line, it goes into this river and out that way. If it falls on the other side of the line, it falls into this river and goes out that way. So it's a demarcation point between two drainage basins, basically, 2 points where rivers go. And the Mississippi is one of these, is 40% of the continental USA. So the
Okay. That's
outside of
mad.
Alaska and Hawaii, 40% of the land of the USA, the water that falls on it drains into the Mississippi.
Mm.
And
That's crazy.
yeah, it's mad, isn't it? And
Uh-huh.
there's a line in the Rocky Mountains where if you step over that line, it doesn't go into the Mississippi. And that line, that break, that single point is the difference. That's it. That's the point. And it's a line that you can follow. And that's a watershed. And it's come to
Right.
mean something where everything over that line just goes. That's it. It's fine. It goes that way or it goes that way.
Oh, so that's
So it's
swearing and no
yeah,
swearing.
it's a demarcation point, a definitive demarcation point where you go, okay, from now on, that's fine. Everything is fine after this. And you have to have a line and a definitive thing. And they brought it in to mean you can go nuts after 9 p.m. So we
Within
can tell
reason.
people your kids have to stop watching telly at 9 p.m. If they don't, then they're going to hear swearing and see boobs. That's it.
Weird that they use that kind of phrasing, though, I suppose, is
Yeah,
it not?
you just
It
things just
works.
yeah, it works.
It works, like, yeah.
Yeah, you need to come up with something.
Mm. Ooh, I like this one. Why does time fly when you're having fun?
Um, it's just how your brain works. So you track time without really noticing that you're doing it. It's not very conscious. You have
Mm.
an idea, even if you're in like a dark room with no clocks in it and you've no idea. If you're, playing your computer game and you're playing away, you've been at it for a few hours, that kind of thing. So some part of your mind is logging time passing.
Mm.
There's a temporal part of your mind. It does take a tiny bit of attention to do it though. You have to realize that. And if you're having tons of fun or you're really absorbed in something, more of your brain gets tuned into it and you essentially stop watching the clock, even your internal clock.
Oh, well, it doesn't go faster,
No, but you don't realize that it's
obviously.
passing.
Okay.
So it's the part of your brain that would normally log it and check it, and it's less likely to happen these days because there's clocks everywhere,
Mm, yeah, I
like
suppose. It's
absolutely
when to
everywhere.
watch as well, I
Yeah.
suppose.
So one of the things that people get is they say, "Oh, I woke up before my alarm," and I never wake up at that time normally. I set an alarm to go to the airport, say, and I woke
Yeah.
up before my alarm,
Mm.
and that's just because my mind was tracking it, whatever. Complete nonsense. So what is happening is if you do that in a room with no clocks that you can see or even reach, you don't do it. You can't do it. You're waking up, checking the time, and going back to sleep without it registering, and you just forget. And
Yeah.
that's why you wake up just before your alarm. And it's the same here. Your brain is internally watching the clock, but if there's no clock to watch, if it's so absorbed in something,
Mm.
it doesn't realize the time is passing. But if you're having loads and loads of fun, but there's a little clock in the corner, you'll
Yeah, that's
realize.
true. Yeah.
So like your computer, my computer has a little clock up there,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I like without even thinking about it, I'm flicking my eyes up to it every so often.
Yeah, same. And
So
don't take offense to
yeah,
that.
yeah, no, it's just something that you do. If you're genuinely absorbed and you're not watching the clock, you don't realize how much time has passed.
So the more occupied you are,
Yeah,
time will
and the
theoretically
other way,
go
if you're
faster.
constantly watching the clock, it looks like it's going slower.
Yeah, it's never moved.
Yeah, you have to. If you occupy your mind, you
Mm.
don't focus on time.
Nice. Nice. Good then. We'll just go into the shower thoughts.
Oh shit, we haven't done these in a while.
We haven't done shower thoughts in a while. I'm excited. Some of these are good.
Yeah, we need these to come in from outside, you see. We need people to send in suggestions. Anyway.
Yeah, so if you see any clip, any video, anything on the socials, just randomly drop a question. You'll get on the show. Lovely stuff. Good one. Could the world fall?
No, there's nowhere for it to fall to. Basically.
But, you know, like it's there in space. Like, could it just...
No.
Oh, yeah, what's under?
Whoa. Yeah, there is no down either.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So the world is not sitting in space. It is being slung around the sun at massive speed.
Well,
so if you have something tied onto the end of a rope and you're spinning it around, it doesn't fall. That's what's happening. Even if there was somewhere for it to fall to, which there isn't, it would need something with more gravitational pull than the sun to come along and pull us away. So at the moment, no, we're but in another way, we're kind of constantly falling, but doing it in a circle around the sun. But in terms of falling down into something, no,
it couldn't just fall. No,
there's nowhere for it to fall to, and nothing to pull it down.
This was one of mine, and this was a thought in the shower.
Oh, nice.
What is the most evil animal? I don't know. It's going to be subjective, but you know what I mean.
No, like there's no real subjective here. There's a strong argument for cats.
There's not. Why? What is it with you and anti-cats?
They're vicious little thugs.
They're not
they will eat your face before you're cold if you die in a room with them. They have no loyalty. They taunt and tease their food when it's alive. They are vicious little thugs. But we need to define evil here. And I don't think you can be evil if you don't know what you're doing is wrong and you do it anyway. I think that's my definition of evil. Something is evil if it knows what it's doing is deeply wrong and does it anyway because it wants to, enjoys you, or has an advantage. That's evil for me. So you can do bad things, but if you have no concept of what you're doing, you know, that's it. Yeah. Like, a baby that wheezes on you, it's just a baby. It's all it's doing. An adult that wheezes on you, not so good. And there is a genuine thing like that. So I think there's no contest. It's humans. Humans are the most evil animal by a
yeah. Okay, apart from humans, I think that.
So we're self-aware and we do it. So you have to think of the more intelligent animals that do bad things.
Killer whales.
But do they know something's wrong?
How they taunt the...
So again, I hate to say this, I'm going to go back to cats.
Oh, God.
So a cat will sit on a table that has a glass on it. It will be told to not do it. It knows it's not meant to do it.
That they are mischievous.
And they will look at you and then knock the glass over.
Funny though.
Funny and evil. So what do you think is the most evil animal? Because I'm just going cats.
I think what I've seen, because like killer whales kind of hunt for sport. Like they'll hunt something, kill it, not eat it.
Like cats.
Like with seals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll toss
and they'll play with it,
Yeah, like cats. But I think... Yeah.
They're bad guys.
My cat, if he sees a fly or a spider...
Yeah.
Like I walk in the living room sometimes and there's this spider with like 2 legs left and I'm like, oh mate, you just play with it. Yeah. Your cats or killer whales then?
Yeah. If there was a killer whale cat hybrid, we're all finished.
This one's always annoyed me. Why is the alphabet in that order? Does it have to be in that order?
It doesn't have to be. It's just tradition. And it's a really old tradition as well. So our alphabet, the modern one that we use in the Western world, derives pretty much directly from a group of people called the Phoenicians who lived in the Middle East around 3,000 years ago. They were the ones who founded Carthage and all these. They were kind of seagoing people. They were traders, sailors, all that kind of stuff. So they would have set up Carthage and Tyre and a few of these big mega cities of the ancient world. And they had a series of symbols and letters that they used that weren't like hieroglyphs. They were demarcations of sound. So they were like letters, modern letters. And gradually that went into the Greek world and into the Roman world and to us. And they morphed in there, but they kept the order about the same. And it's likely there was a song. So, do you know,
I was just about to say,
song?
Is it ABC?
Is it? It's likely that they had something similar or some sort of mnemonic or a poem to help people who were first learning to learn all their letters. And
So it's because of the song,
yeah,
really.
and honestly, that's how humans before writing happened. That's how humans learned everything. Is they
Through
made
like
everything
song.
into verses. This is why the Bible's in verses. It was to make it easier to learn.
I've never thought of this like
Yeah.
this.
And it was to make if things rhyme, like nursery rhymes largely transmitted information. That's what they were for. They were
Mm.
to tell stories. And it's really, really hard to change the details of something and keep the rhyme.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And you remember so much more, like for a song, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Like everyone
I
asks,
couldn't remember a paragraph from a book,
yeah,
but I could double that length in a song.
yeah. So everybody asked me how I learn stuff, and humans are inbuilt to learn things in certain ways, and songs and mnemonics and things like that really help. So it's
Mm.
probably in that order from an alphabet song from like 3,000 years ago.
Wow, crazy. Ooh. Why do we say stinking rich?
Stinking rich. This is good. I looked this up. Apparently, it's its 100th birthday, the phrase stinking rich this year.
How is it?
Yeah, it was at
Happy
the end,
birthday.
towards the end of 1925, in a Montana newspaper. Is the first time that anybody's been able to find this reference. Now, it probably
Mm.
predates that, but this is the first written reference. And it just means a lot. That's all. It just means a lot. Very, So things like we say, oh, I had a dirty, dirty big fry up in the morning. It doesn't mean it's physically dirty. It just means it's a word that means sort of extra, more.
Oh, okay.
So, and it would have been, wouldn't have just been used for rich. It would have been used like stinking happy or stinking lost or whatever.
They don't sound right. No,
Yeah.
no, they don't.
No, they
sound
don't
right.
because they've faded away. But like it would have just been. It's a weird thing about the English language is that we use like adjectives that shouldn't actually apply. You know,
Mm.
and a stinking great something is just a really big something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's all.
That
It's
does
just
make
it's just a
sense.
weird way, and it's not most of them disappear, but this one is stuck.
Mm. Nice. Why do humans have fingerprints but no toe prints?
We do. We have toe prints. Problem solved.
Not properly though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They can be used to identify people as well. They're the same thing.
So like as different like kind of
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
as
whirls
fingerprints.
and loops and all that stuff on our toes. Yeah, they do exist, and they tend to be harder to see because the skin on our toes is thicker, and we
Mm.
walk on them, so we don't look at them all that much. But yeah,
True.
if you sort of have a really close look, we've got toe prints, and they are unique to each individual. Same thing, they're formed by movements of the amniotic fluid, so even identical twins have different toe prints.
Oh man, I've never thought about toe prints. That's why.
Mm.
Fair enough. Done me there. You've done me there. If you ate yourself, would you disappear or double in size?
What a stupid question is this? Neither, obviously. There's only so much of yourself you can eat. You'd get slightly smaller, is what would happen. So, first of all, eating something doesn't mean you gain that much mass. Otherwise, we would be infinitely expanding.
This
Just
is
because,
true.
yeah, if you eat, Christmas dinner, you don't get that much bigger because it goes back out again. You don't keep it all in. So you can technically eat quite a lot of yourself. You can eat a lot of your muscle, but you need to keep, your head, your major organs, your digestive system intact. So you could technically, I suppose, eat your limbs and quite a bit of your skin and your hair and all that kind of stuff and a lot of the muscle around your body. But eventually you'd have to stop because you die. So if you want to stay alive and you ate as much of yourself as possible, you'd probably knock, I don't know, a third, half your volume off because you'd poo yourself out.
We don't advise this to any listeners, by the way.
Very
Don't poo
strongly.
yourself out.
Auto cannibalism is nobody's friend. Yeah.
This is true. We've got a strong stance on that on this podcast.
We are not an auto cannibal podcast. Definitely not.
Is it illegal?
To eat
To
yourself?
eat yourself?
No, it is illegal to eat other people.
I know that.
So, like, there's some people like
Did he stop you eating yourself?
what's his name? There's an actor, Army Hammer. Do you remember him? He was in The Lone Ranger and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and a few.
Yeah.
The reason why he's disappeared is because he's mad into the idea of eating people, and it kind of got out.
Yes, I remember this
Yeah,
happening.
yeah. He's also a weird side fact, not just a cannibal, but Arm and Hammer toothpaste.
What do you mean? He's that?
That's his family's company.
Oh, no way. Like a Nepo baby.
That's where they made
It's
their.
just
That's where they made their money. Yeah.
toothpaste. No way.
Arm
No,
and
I
Hammer,
didn't know that.
baking soda and cleaning products and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hammer is the name of the family, and he's called Army Hammer after the toothpaste, basically.
And he's a bit of a weirdo. Why do we hiccup, and why can't we stop once we start?
So hiccups are spasms of your diaphragm, which is the sheet of muscle under your sort of lungs, and it goes up and down to help with your breathing. And if it spasms, I can get into a loop where it basically won't stop. So what it's doing is it's a reaction to, usually, weirdly, some people, I get it with this, with really spicy food, or things like that, or if you
fizzy drinks, too much fizz.
if you drink something too much, and it forces it out of its rhythm, and it's trying to get back to where it was, and it can't, essentially. So it's trying to get into a
so it's like Control Alt Delete.
Yeah, it's trying to sort itself out, and it can't, and it gets into a spasm, and it's stuck. And some people, like, I think the record for hiccuping, I haven't looked this up, but it's decades. It's decades,
yeah. That's why I hate hiccups. Yeah. I hate it.
And some people find it very difficult to get out, but a lot of people can just, sort it out by holding their breath or having a drink or something,
I do that. I like compress my breath, if that makes sense.
And you're basically you're forcing it back into place, basically. But it's just your diaphragm.
Why does getting scared get rid of them? Or is that a myth?
I think it's just, you get a shock, you tense, and you take a big deep breath. And that might sort it out. But yeah, I don't know how frightened you'd have to be to get rid of hiccups. But generally, if it was in, Looney Tunes cartoons or something, red rag to a bull, frighten you out of hiccups, it's probably not true.
Yeah, that's what most of my knowledge goes off Looney Tunes.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny wasn't actually a conductor of an orchestra. Who knew?
Was he not? It's great seeing that when he shoots the fella. That's an old time, isn't it? If the Earth's spinning, how fast is the Earth spinning? You said this.
We said this in our first episode, didn't we?
Was it
first or second? Yeah,
what is it? 1,000 miles an hour?
It's thousands and thousands. Yeah, it's really fast. Yeah.
Why aren't we feeling it then? Shouldn't I be like, whoa?
No, I'm going to get the number right, because we get a lot of pedantic people. How fast is the Earth spinning? I looked this up. The Earth rotates at 1,670 kilometers an hour.
No chance.
Yeah.
No chance.
So just while we're on the subject of pedantry, we posted about how last year about how bananas don't taste like banana flavored stuff. And it tastes, and I said it tastes how bananas used to taste. Yeah. And an awful lot of people, that's a myth. They're going, yeah, it doesn't taste exactly how they taste. It tastes a lot more like it. That's why I said it tastes like they used to taste. The amount of people who are like, seriously, because just going on and on and on about it, that was, I know it's not exactly the same, but it's a lot more like it. Anyway, so 1,670 kilometers an hour, it goes.
Why aren't I? Whoa!
But it doesn't change.
What do you mean it doesn't change?
It's absolutely constant. It's not accelerating. It's not getting faster or getting slower. When you're in a car, when you first take off, you feel it. You take off, you push back into your seat. But then when you hit, cruise control and you're going whatever, 50 miles an hour along the road, you don't feel it. You don't get pushed into your seat. It's just comfortable. When you're on a train, you don't feel it. It's only...
Yeah, you feel the initial thing.
Change, it's acceleration and deceleration that you feel. Right. And because the atmosphere is moving around with us, there's no like rush of wind. It's not like sticking your head out the train and you feel it. It's acceleration and deceleration. If it's constant, you don't feel it. We're standing on it, so you just spin around, and you don't.
Like a plane as well, I suppose, might be like the maddest example for that.
Yeah, you don't feel it. Like you feel it when you're taking off on a plane. You really feel it because it's accelerating to get off the ground. But once it hits its cruising speed, it's just nice and comfy, and it's the same with the Earth. And like we said in our early episode, if it stopped, you'd feel it fairly quick because you'd be catapulted at over 1,000 kilometers an hour. But yeah, it's just because it isn't changing speed. So.
Right, thank you for listening to A Normal Meets a Nerd, but we need you. We need your comments. Get involved in the show. Leave a comment under any clip, any social post, because we are checking and we are getting your questions answered for the show.
Yeah, and make sure you like and subscribe and maybe tell your friends about this, because if we can get more listeners, we might even do a few live shows, which would be even more fun. But we can't do that if nobody's listening. So like, subscribe and share.